Welcome to the Wholesaling Inc. podcast. I'm your host, Chris Arnold. As always, very excited that you guys are with us today. This is going to be fun. We are going to be talking about television today, but we're going to be talking about TV with someone that all of you guys know and love, and our very own Lauren Hardy. Yes, Lauren Hardy is advertising on television, and Tony called me up and said, "Hey, we got to get Lauren on here and talk about her experience and why she chose TV. We know obviously that she is the queen when it comes to virtual wholesaling and how to do deals in other markets and so forth. And there's a lot of marketing channels you could choose to utilize when you go virtual. And so she chose television. And so I'm excited to kind of kick back today and understand this story and how things are going. And we're going to hear her results and what she's gotten so far. And of course, as always, we got Tony here as well to ping some questions off of and get his opinion. So really excited to add some value to you guys today around television. So Tony Javier, Lauren Hardy, what's up? Welcome to the show.
Hey, what's up?
What's up,
Chris,
Tony? How are you, buddy?
Doing good, man. Good to, well, I see you, your video's off here, but good to hear from you, be on another podcast, man. I'm excited to share what Lauren has been doing, and she's been a rock star. So should be a really good episode.
It's going to be interesting. All right, Lauren. So the big question, why television? I mean, if I'm listening right now, my first question is, Lauren Hardy does virtual. Why does she choose television as a marketing channel for herself? And where did you start it at?
Okay, well, first thing, TV always intrigued me because when I was the one making seller calls, I remember hearing the TV in the background, and I firmly believe that our number one seller avatar watches daytime television. So when Tony presented the opportunity of this out of the box, I'll set up your TV commercials for you program, it was a no-brainer for me. I love the idea of TV, and I'm so excited that I started doing it. And now I did start doing it in June. So at the time of filming this, it's been almost 2 months.
Exciting. So you got 2 months in, and your number one choice for television was you felt like it was your demographic. Now, Tony, you and I know when it comes to radio and TV, we're fundamentally hitting that same demographic, which is people that are over the age of 45, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, Lauren, I can tell you for ourselves, that's what we saw when it came to TV and radio. It's like the very thing that gets you in front of the demographic that you want to be in front of. And so I'm curious, let's see how it's worked. You went live, and how many leads did you get in your first month?
Okay, so let's talk about month one since we're not done with month two. We got 107 leads just from TV ads alone. So
I'm curious, Lauren, what was your expectation? How many leads did you think you were going to get? Because 107 is a lot of calls.
I thought maybe 40. Yeah, crazy.
So I would have said the same thing. Usually when people say, how many leads can I expect in my first month? I give them a pretty low number, knowing that they could blow that out of the water. So for me, I don't even know if I gave you a number, Lauren, but if you would have told me or asked me if how many leads I would have thought you would have gotten, I would have probably said between 20 and 40.
Yeah, crazy.
Wow. So you came out of the gate swinging, and this went above your expectation. And it sounds like Tony even went above what you would normally tell people to anticipate. So not a bad start, Lauren. Pretty excited about that. Now, what I find interesting is we know you virtual wholesale, which means there's a few fundamental markets you really focus on, but you took TV into a market that was even newer. So this isn't like where you normally do deals and you saw the success. Why did you decide to take TV into a market that's even newer?
Versus the market that I was previously in.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, and this is the benefit of being virtual. The market that I've really dominated, that a lot of you guys are aware of, is Oklahoma. And Oklahoma has become very saturated with other investors, other hedge funds, turnkey companies. Anybody that is in Oklahoma City will tell you that it is saturated with wholesalers. And I started noticing, that trend, and the benefit of being virtual is that I can just pick up and pick a new territory. Now, that doesn't mean I left Oklahoma, guys. I'm still in Oklahoma, but I thought, if I'm going to spend marketing dollars on this new campaign, I want to take it somewhere where I think there's a little bit more opportunity and it's not as saturated. So I decided to pick a market that I knew wasn't as saturated as Oklahoma. So there is definitely a learning curve to going to a new market, but I've done it, now for so long that I can kind of pick up and start new markets quite easily. So yeah, we've had an incredible success. I mean, can we talk about the contracts I got in?
That was literally the next question I want to go. You got 107 leads. People hear that. But
Right.
The next question people ask is, so what was your conversion? Did you actually pick up any deals?
Yeah. So the crazy thing, and this is what I love about TV ads, is the sellers are already pretty motivated. They're calling you, where when you're doing outbound, you're calling them and you're more planting a seed in their brain. So it usually takes that seller like 30 days to even accept your offer. With TV, it's like a week, because they already had the idea that they want to sell. They're calling you. So we were able to get contracts very quickly. In the month of June, we had 107 leads, and out of that, we put 10 of them under contract. And while you were introducing this episode, I was looking at the pipeline. So we already locked up 2 that we are selling. Out of the 10, we've locked up 2 that we're selling to end buyers. We are working on the other 8, but we already have, like, in escrow with closing dates set, about $21,000 in the pipeline. So that's from my first month. And what is my ad spend? Like, what, $6,900?
Under 7,000. Yeah. So just on those closings, it would be 3X, and then plus whatever else you close.
Right. So we're already at
3X on 2 out of the 8 contracts already, because you have the other 8 that you can potentially finish dispoing as well.
Yeah. And I mean, to give you guys, perspective, I've done marketing campaigns for 10 years, direct to seller. This is by far the best return I've seen. Fastest as well.
Fastest return.
Yeah. Fastest. Yes.
Yeah.
1 month to have this is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Tony, is that typical to see that type of turnaround, in the sense of not the volume specifically that she saw, but the speed at which she saw calls come in, contracts come in, et cetera? Is that what you're seeing with a lot of the people that are utilizing television?
Well, it's interesting because I'm getting goosebumps right now. And I do anytime someone tells me their numbers for their first 30 days on TV. So when we launched this program late last year, I thought that most people would take at least 60, if not 90 days to get really good traction, right? That after 60 to 90 days, they'd be doing really well. And then, we'd have a small amount of people, 25%, let's say, that would crush it right out of the gate. It's actually been the other way around, where 70 to 80% of our clients are getting pretty massive, or at least even good results within the first 30 to 60 days. And for me, if you're getting a 3X return, that's pretty good within 30 to 60 days. But most of our clients are doing 5 to 10X within their first 30 to 60 days. They're locking up a lot of deals and turning them very quickly. And I think a lot of that has to do with, in most markets, when I get someone on TV, they're typically the only, if not one of the only people on TV. So there's really not much competition. And so when you see a new message on TV, it sticks out because it's like, oh, wow, I've never seen that before. And if they're even thinking about selling, that's when they pick up the phone and say, hey, we weren't thinking about selling until next month or maybe a couple months down the road, but hey, let's go ahead and start the conversation. And they're getting deals before anybody else gets to those deals.
Yeah. I mean, Tony, you and I agree. What makes all the difference in the world with a particular marketing channel is, it doesn't matter how good the marketing channel is. If it's oversaturated, you're in trouble. Lauren is even talking about the market being Oklahoma. Saturation is always a problem. So when you're going in on television, like Lauren did in that area, your other students, and you're the only one, I mean, it's pretty easy to come in and scoop up a lot of business really fast. And so that's why you guys are seeing such fast returns on call volumes and contracts coming in. So pretty much virtually no competition at this point on television.
Absolutely. Yeah. When I talk to someone if anybody says there's someone on TV, it's typically like maybe one, maybe two other people. But that doesn't mean they're doing it right, because we've got a formula that's worked for us for 9 years. And then, now we have, over 70 people we're helping with TV around the country. And a lot of them are getting really good results. So we know that we have a formula that works really well. So I've had some people say, well, I tried TV, and I'll look at what they tried, and their commercial wasn't very good. The ads that they did, or the times of day were way different than what we did. And we've tested those times that were super expensive and like prime time and all that kind of stuff, which didn't work. And that's typically what stations are going to try and sell you, the most expensive stuff. So again, even though there may potentially be one or two other people in a market, that doesn't mean they're doing it right. But think about it. In most markets, Lauren, you could probably have a better idea. How many people do you think there are texting, cold calling, and doing postcards, hitting the exact same list in any given market? It's probably hundreds, maybe even thousands.
I don't have that number. I have no idea how to get that data, but it's a lot. It is a lot.
Yeah. So
it's growing. I mean, if you asked me that question 2 years ago, I would say actually maybe not that many people are texting. It's still a new kind of technology, but now the cat's out of the bag and everybody knows about it. So yeah.
I would agree, regardless of what that exact number is. Tony, I do agree with you. It's a lot of people in markets. That's for sure. So Lauren, I want to go to kind of your perspective on TV and what you personally like. We were chatting a little bit, and there were 4 things that you said that you've really enjoyed about television so far, that you've seen as a benefit just to you, your business, and kind of the way that you run things. So the first one was the fact that this is an inbound strategy versus an outbound strategy. So why is that important, and kind of what is your perspective on inbound versus outbound marketing?
So let's first start, with the definition of inbound versus outbound. So outbound would be like cold calling or texting, where you're making that cold call to a seller and essentially soliciting your service. And it's almost a more needy position, to be in, because you're talking to sellers that are maybe not even thinking about selling, but they often will, maybe you planted the seed in their head. So outbound, what people don't really, think about, although it sounds cheaper, in many ways, there's a hidden cost to outbound marketing, especially if you're scaling. If you have scaled and you have employees that are doing the outbound marketing for you, it's very management intensive. It's very difficult to manage these people. You can get an employee that's pretending to work and they're not, and you're still paying them and you're burning through lists. Outbound marketing could go south very, very quickly. It's a very hard campaign to track with KPIs. I still do it because we've been making money that way, and I don't want to drop those marketing campaigns that have been profitable for us. But I will say they've are management intensive and exhausting. Typically, a lead that comes from an outbound method like cold calling or texting takes about 30 days to say yes. Now, let's talk about inbound. So inbound is like, say, direct mail, TV ads, radio, where they're calling you. So you don't have to, there's not much effort other than setting up the campaign, turning it on, and now seller leads call you. Now, if you don't want to deal with managing a call center, you're probably going to be more interested in inbound marketing methods. And what I love about inbound is that the seller's already motivated. There's already a thought process of selling in their head. You didn't have to plant any seed for it. So typically what we've noticed with TV in the first month is that it really only took about a week for the seller to say yes versus 30 days. So that means less people I need to hire to answer those calls. It's easier for me to manage, as an owner of a company. It's very easy for me to pull the KPIs and just, I just calculate how many leads we got and how much we spent on the ads. So yeah, I'm a big fan of the inbound marketing method.
So let me ask you this question. You're a coach at Wholesaling Inc. Do you feel like people have to start with the outbound methods before they go to inbound? Or do you think that someone can say, you know what, I'm not really an outbound person. I don't want to cold call. I don't want to text. I want to start with marketing. Do you feel like people have the ability to step over that and begin with marketing if that's their preference?
I mean, absolutely. I first got started in this business when direct mail was the thing. So I started with Outbound and I did direct mail. So direct mail is the same thing. I actually am recommending TV to my students. And specifically, I can give you an example of one person that I recommended TV to. And the reason I gave her that recommendation was she had a full-time job and wholesaling was her side hustle, but she didn't have time to generate leads via cold calling or texting because she was at her full-time job. So I said, you really need something that is just an inbound method where you need to just concentrate on answering the leads that call you, and that's it. And you don't need to concentrate on cold calling campaigns. Because even, our first thought was, well, I'm going to hire someone to cold call for me. But then what I told her, which comes from 10 years experience here, is you think that that's your solution, except for now you're managing that person. And now I'm managing that person who, let me tell you how many cold callers I've seen, fake work. They pretend they're working, and it's exhausting to catch them in what they're doing. So you really need more of just an inbound campaign. So you can take that human variable out of lead generation.
Yeah, 100%. So inbound, you love. The second thing that we were talking about is you're really enjoying the quality of the lead. So talk a little bit more about that. Is television providing that much higher of a quality of lead than you're seeing with some of the other channels that are out there?
Oh my gosh. I mean, 100%. I mean, for two reasons, right? One is that they were already thinking about selling and then they saw my commercial. There was a reason they were motivated to pick up the phone and call, right? So, I mean, hands down, that's an amazing, I love it for that reason. Yeah, I mean, in general, the quality of the lead is just much higher than cold calling and texting. I can't say enough. I mean, they're ready to sell usually right now. Our avatar watches daytime TV. There's someone that maybe works a night shift. There's somebody that, might be more in a situation where they have more motivation. So yeah, higher quality, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. I know without a question when it comes to television, and Tony, everyone I've talked to that's been utilizing it, that's probably the thing that I hear the most about TV. Like, you don't have anyone that calls you and tells you that they hate the fact that you advertised on TV. You don't get any hate calls. You don't get any of that type of stuff that we would get with direct mail. Usually when people call, and they're usually surprised that, they're talking to you if you happen to be the one answering those calls, because you get that elevated sense of celebrity status. So it really is on the other side of the spectrum when it comes to the quality of lead. Now, one thing that you said next, Lauren, that I like, and again, we know you're busy, right? You have a lot going on in the sense of your businesses and everything that you have. This preserves your time. How is it preserving your time specifically?
Back to managing cold callers and texters. So I'm fully scaled. I've got a team and my job is to manage these people. And if I could wave a magic wand, I would probably not do any outbound marketing if I didn't have to, because managing the cold callers and the texters is a lot of work and it takes time to do it. Yeah. And so TV, I don't have to worry about lead generation. I just have to worry about my acquisition managers. That's it. So it removes, a complete department of my company. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. The television and everything is making the phone ring for you. So literally your job begins, or your team jobs begins, once that lead comes in. But other than that, it's all taken care of for you. So I love that aspect of television is pretty much automated. You let the TV do its job and make the phone ring as well. And then setup time. I know, Tony, you've really created television to be kind of a done with you system. So Lauren, how long did it take you to get your TV set up with Tony?
Not any time at all. I think one day, honestly, Tony's team does everything for you. So all I had to do is make sure that we had the phone numbers connected. So our lines would ring and someone would answer.
Yeah. Tony, talk a little bit about that system, because this is a done with you system. So when Lauren says, hey, Tony's team did everything for me, what does that specifically mean?
Yeah, you call it done with you, which is a good term. I call it mostly done for you because we handled over 90% of the work. So I've talked to many people that said, hey, I thought about TV and I tried to get on TV and I called reps and I tried to negotiate rates and it was too expensive and all that kind of stuff. And so, when we set this up, 9 years ago when I got on TV, the reason I was able to get on TV easily is because I had a really good media buyer, understood media, had a production team. I had to do a lot more work than my clients are having to do. So I had to start with scripts and figure out what the feel would be and images and all that kind of stuff. So over 9 years, we've been able to develop many different scripts that have worked. We have tested many different schedules. So rather than someone going out and figuring out what stations to call, all that kind of stuff, waiting for reps to call them back, figuring out what a good rate is on certain stations or certain shows, we've basically cut all of that out to where my media buyer, who's been with me 9 years and has been doing media for 20 years, he does all the negotiations. So you know that you're getting the best pricing. He's plugging in what has worked for us and has worked for many other people throughout the country, plugging that into other markets. We've got the production team, so we're producing the commercial. So really, like Lauren said, all anybody has to do is give us the phone number, give us the website, the logo, and then if they want to be in the commercial, they shoot it, which I think, Lauren, you spent more time driving. So Lauren lives about an hour from me. So I offered her, I was shooting a commercial anyway. I said, why don't you just drive down? We'll shoot the commercial. So what, it take 15 minutes probably to shoot the commercial or less. So she drove 2 hours, took her 15 minutes to shoot. But we will set you up in your market to shoot the commercial. So, you're not having to drive so far, fly to us. So that's the reason that I think we have such high success rate. So first of all, pretty much everybody gets on TV when they buy in the program, because we do it for you. And then the other thing is that we just have the formula that's like a franchise-like system that has worked in other markets, and we just plug it into your market. And so we make it really, really easy for you to get on TV because we know real estate investors are busy. If I just gave anybody the course, it would take them at least 3 to 6 months to get on TV because it takes a lot of time to negotiate. It takes a lot of time to figure out the feel of the commercial and everything that we've already figured out. So we can get someone on the air in as little as 3 weeks. We say 30 to 45 days, but within 3 weeks, honestly, we can have you rocking and rolling.
So Tony, you said earlier, and I'm curious, at this point, you said you've got somewhere around 70 people that you've set up on television so far since you've launched. Is that about right?
Yep. 86 spots technically, because we have a lot of people that are in multiple markets.
So 86. Tell me 1 to 2 things that you've observed now that you've helped 86 people do this. I haven't asked you this question. That's a decent amount of data that you probably begin to connect some dots or see some patterns. Like what have you seen? A couple of things so far that you've now realized.
Yeah, let me give you a few. So one is that we have some beginners in the program, which we tested. If you listen to the podcast before, we tested with a couple new investors. They crushed it. And so we've been still selective, but we get new investors in the group. So one thing is that even the most experienced investors, when we get them into the program, there's things that we've figured out that I thought were so simple that they didn't think about or understand. And so that could have been potentially the difference between them doing well or not doing well. Like things as little as the phone number, making sure it's right, the domain, making sure it's going to the right spot. Just the intricate details of what needs to happen throughout the whole process. And that's why I say not everybody's doing it right. We had someone buy into our program that was in a big market. I looked at his commercial and I told him 6 things right away that were wrong: the domain, the domain, the phone number, the way the actor was acting. I mean, there were just so many different little things that he didn't have data on. He just threw in a commercial. So we changed it for him. Now he's at the time he was doing no deals off that commercial. Now he's doing deals, and now he's in 3 markets with us. I think actually he just started on a 4th. So that's one thing. 2 things is that there are people that don't do deals very far outside of the market. So the thing with TV that's good, it can be a bad thing for some people, but the good thing is it reaches a pretty broad audience. So if I'm in Wichita, Kansas, our commercials reach 2 to 3 hours west, and I think an hour hour and a half, maybe 2 hours east. So TV audiences can be pretty broad. So a lot of our investors have said, I don't typically do deals 2 or 3 hours away. But when I got this call and I saw the numbers, like I had to figure out how to make this work. Give you 2 examples real quick. One guy, it was about 2.5 hours north. He said, I've never done a deal in this area. I don't even think I've ever heard of this area before. Made 35 grand in his first month off one of those deals. Second deal, I have a funding business. So I had one of my clients come to me. Actually, Lauren, she's one of your students. And she was in a virtual market. And she said, I've got this deal about, I think it was like an hour to an hour and a half outside of my market. I can lock it up for 75. And she goes, I think I can put it back on the market for 150 with barely doing anything to it. And so she locked up the deal. I funded it for her. She was at my mastermind a week and a half ago. And she said, we just pulled new comps and we actually think we can list it for 185. So this is forcing people to figure out how to do deals a little bit outside of their market, and it produces a whole new opportunity. So instead of just saying, I want certain zip codes, I want certain this and that, and just being really super selective about the lead they're getting leads a little bit outside their area and are able to do more deals and understand that they need to do different markets. And that deal that she did was a mobile home. So I have students in my program that have said, I don't do mobile homes. And I say, you're going to get mobile home leads, figure out how to do them, because I make 30 to 50 grand on every single mobile home deal that I do. And this is in like $130,000 price points. I'm sure there's many other things that I could probably talk about, but I think those are the 2 main things is that, you've got to set it up right. And even if you're most experienced real estate investor, there's still things that could go wrong. And 2 is just doing deals outside of their area and figuring out how to utilize the leads that come in.
It's going to stretch you in a good way. It's going to help you mature as a business owner to capitalize on those opportunities that are coming in. So, Lauren, I know you're a big believer now in TV because at this point, you've actually had some of your wholesaling students do TV. And we were talking a little bit about one of them, Nadia. You're telling your students now at this point that you think that TV is a great fit for them. So talk a little bit about maybe Nadia so far and what you've seen with your students.
Yeah, I mean, Nadia came to me. She was super busy. She didn't have the time to do outbound methods like cold calling or texting. So I went straight for, why don't you try TV? The thing about Nadia I liked is she actually has some experience in the business. She's not I think maybe she's closed maybe 3 to 5 deals in her career. So I felt comfortable recommending TV. And yeah, she started it. And she told me within a week of her ads going live, she had locked 3 contracts. So it was amazing. And I had this similar experience. I actually think by my second week, we'd locked 6 contracts. Yeah. So yeah, she's doing really, really well. And not, aside from my students, I did want to also throw in a couple more KPI numbers that excite me.
My KPIs, come on, what else you got?
Another exciting one. So typically for outbound methods like cold calling and texting, it takes about 20 to 22 leads to get 1 contract. Now that's not a deal, that's just a contract. Okay. Right. With TV, it's 10 to 1. So you've got to think that's, 10 less sellers that we have to follow up with, you do a lot of follow-up calls and negotiation calls, and those calls take time. They're, time intensive for my sales reps or my acquisition managers. So it feels much more efficient.
Yes.
So that's very exciting.
Well, you're doing half of the amount of work. And I don't know if you found this because you haven't been on TV long enough, but I know with television and radio, the size of the deal is also bigger. Because if you're not dealing with a marketing channel that doesn't have a lot of competition and you're the only one that's going out there to lock up that contract, then you're going to negotiate a bigger spread because you're not having to pull your number up to compete with 5 other wholesalers. So that's one of the other benefits is not only does it have to work, it actually pays out a lot more profit per deal historically.
Yeah. Some of my biggest profit deals have come off TV. I've done at least $200,000 deals off TV. And I've done multiple $50,000 deals. And I don't think we do those types of spreads on any other marketing than TV.
Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. So if you're listening and you're like, man, I've been trying to figure out what I want to do this year when it comes to a marketing channel, our responsibility at Wholesaling Inc. is just to provide you guys some different things to take a look at. I believe that marketing channels fit different personalities. And so for someone like Lauren, it totally fit her lifestyle, the way that she thinks about marketing, her philosophy, all of that type of stuff. And so we always encourage you, if you're interested in, it begins by asking questions. And so what you want to do is you want to book a call and first of all, see if your market is available and it's open. And on top of that, to see if it's a good fit. But really cool to hear Lauren's story, particularly her being a coach. So you guys can even see those of us that are at Wholesaling Inc. Even though we're coaches, we're over here just like you guys are, running businesses, needing to utilize marketing channels to create inbound leads and so forth so that we can continue to grow our wholesale companies as well. So Tony, if somebody's listening, where do they go to find out more?
Yeah, just go to realestateMastersTV.com/Chris. Again, realestateMastersTV.com/Chris. You can book a call directly with me and see if your market's available.
Absolutely, we can do that. Well, Tony, thank you so much for coming on. Lauren, it was super cool to hang out with you. I'm glad that we got to do a podcast together, which was a lot of fun as well. So thanks for coming on and just sharing your experience so far with TV and your numbers.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. And to the rest of you guys, we will catch you soon when we add more value. Talk to you later.